The Rebbe said Farbrengen and Shabbos Parshas Kedoshim, the second day of Rosh Chodesh Iyar Tavshem Vav. The same thing like this year, where Friday and Shabbos was 2 days Rosh Chodesh, except it was Parshas Kedoshim. This year, the Parshas Taduriyam Torah. They said Shabbos do the Kviyusa b'Yom Rishon the Chodesh Iyar, Bezer Rosh Chodesh Iyar. This Shabbos, when Shabbos falls out on the first day of the month of Iyar. It's the first day of the month, the second day of Rosh Chodesh, because the first day of Rosh Chodesh is the last day of the month of Nisan. Mudgish hadayin hakesher v'hemshech l'chodesh Nisan mitzad kamen yom. It's emphasized still, even though we're the first of the month of Iyar. So, put away the month of Nisan. We're done with that. So the Rebbe says, no. It still emphasized the connection and the continuation of the month of Nisan mitzad kamen yom because of a few things. The Rebbe, in his style, is going to enumerate three different reasons why it's connected to the month of Nisan. First of all, Aleph Yom Rishon the Chodesh Iyar Hu Yom Sheni the Rosh Chodesh. The first day of the month of Iyar is the second day of Rosh Chodesh. But Meila Mudgish Boy, therefore, it's emphasized in the second day of Rosh Chodesh. Sheyeshli Gam Yom Rishon the Rosh Chodesh. As soon as you say second day Rosh Chodesh, that right away rings a bell. Oh, so there was the first day of Rosh Chodesh. Skip the parentheses. Now when we continue, okay, it's the second day of Rosh Chodesh, so there's the first day of Rosh Chodesh. What's the first day of Rosh Chodesh Nisan? Also, the Rosh Chodesh Iyar, it's also the 30th of Nisan. Skip the parentheses again, which is Siyum v'chosim kol Chodesh Nisan. It is the conclusion and the seal of the entire month of Nisan. So that's how the first day of Iyar, which is Shabbos Rosh Chodesh Iyar, tells us and indicates the connection with the month of Nisan, because the day preceding it, the first day of Rosh Chodesh, was the conclusion of the entire month. It was the 30th day of Nisan. Base. Another specific reason is because this would be true any day of the week that the second day of Rosh Chodesh would come out of. But it's especially so the way it comes out this year. The first day of the month of Iyar comes out on a Shabbos. That the preparation for Shabbos really comes throughout the days of the week. So the Rebbe says a very interesting thing. It doesn't just mean that when we prepare for Shabbos starts on Friday. Misha Torach be'erev Shabbos, Yochel b'Shabbos, that Chazal say whoever puts in effort on the day, on before Shabbos, on the eve of Shabbos, he will have what to eat on Shabbos. So the Rebbe says, erev Shabbos b'muvan harachav. In a broad sense, what does erev Shabbos mean? It begins hakolos kol yemei hashavua. It includes all the days of the week. Hachel miyam rishon Shabbos, beginning already from Sunday, is already the preparation time for Shabbos. So, be that as it may, the preparation for Shabbos began Nasis b'Mei Chodesh Nisan. It was done in the days of the month of Nisan. Kol Yom HaShishi, including Friday, Erev Shabbos Kipshuti, the literal meaning of the words Erev Shabbos. Though on Friday, it was the first day of the head of the month of Iyar, seemingly already connected with Iyar, still also the 30th day of Nisan. So therefore, since Shabbos is a continuation of Erev Shabbos, so therefore it's connected with the day and the week of Erev Shabbos, which is the month of Nisan. So that's a second reason why Shabbos is connected. The Rosh Chodesh Iyar and this Shabbos is connected with the month of Iyar. Nisan. Gimel. A third reason is the month of Iyar in general is known as the second month. When we count the months, Nisan is called Rishon Hulachem, it's the first of the month, and therefore the month of Iyar, when it refers in the Torah to the second month, it's referring to Chodesh Iyar. The names of the months that we call it Iyar or Nisan and so on, these are things that rose up with the Yidden from Bavel. As opposed to when you look in the Chumash, and you want to know, or even in later Svarim Menach, you want to know the month, you go according to their number. Chodesh Harishon is like it says a Chodesh Zelachem Rosh Chodesh Nishon Lochem Chachachon, like we said before. Chodesh Hasheni Chulum. So therefore, it's the second month. Let's skip to the paragraph afterwards. And Mekivan Shekain, since that is the case, in the month of Iyar, which is in general the second month, especially the first day of the second month. In other words, Shabbos is the first day of the second month. That includes the entire days of the month. It's emphasized the connection and the continuation to the first month, the month of Nisan. Because Rosh Chodesh, we always know is that why is it called the head of the month? It's not called Tchilas HaChodesh, because the head indicates that it is just like the head includes in it the life force of the entire body. The same thing, the head of the month or the head of the year includes the entire month or the entire year. So therefore, in the first day of the month, in the first day of Iyar, which is this Shabbos, includes all the days of the month. It's connected in the continuation of the month of Nisan. So the Rebbe goes on nice bays. Pisa moving according to this understood. Yom Rishon the Chodesh Iyar was man hamasim lasias cheshm v'sachakel v'negel l'chol inyan Chodesh Nisan. That the first day of the month of Iyar is the appropriate time to make an accounting and a summary and a sum total concerning all matters of the month of Nisan. And corresponding to whatever our conclusion is about the month of Nisan, to establish in what type of manner has to be the avoid of the month of Iyar. This means to say, avoid the Chodesh Iyar tia behem shechobiyachas l'shleimus shenifalai the avoid of the Chodesh Nisan. What am I going to be doing in the month of Iyar? How am I going to acting? How am I going to act? What's going to be my avoid in the month of Iyar? It should be a continuation, and it should relate to the avoida that I completed in the month of Nisan. And that's even more emphasized because the second, like we said before, it's the second month, second follows the first. The Rebbe continues, since this accounting of the first day of the month of Iyar comes after the prefacing and the accounting of Erev Rosh Chodesh, known as Yom Kippur Kat. Erev Rosh Chodesh in many communities and by the Rebbe was a very important and auspicious day. Just like Thursday night is considered a very auspicious day because we're supposed to make an accounting of the entire week to go into Shabbos in an appropriate manner. The same thing on the day before Rosh Chodesh. In some communities, they fast and they say special slichas. It's called a minor Yom Kippur because it's a preparation and an accounting of the rest of the previous month. The Rebbe used to fast on Erev Rosh Chodesh. But in this, you're not allowed to do all the negative things like fasting and so on. So it's understood the way how we make this calculation on the first of Iyar is only out of a feeling of joy, without any mixture of some opposite type of emotional state that's connected to the ministry of Kippur. Avoida shenifla kvar be'erev Rosh Chodesh Iyar, an avoida that was affected also on the eve of the month of Iyar. And like he's going to explain, because it's in Nisan and it's Shabbos the day of Rosh Chodesh, so therefore it's all a matter of joy and enjoyment. And to note, concerning the accounting and the sum total of the month of Nisan, also the avoid of the ministry Yom Kippur on the eve of Rosh Chodesh Iyar, which is an approach of the opposite of joy usually, That's what Yom Kippur Cotton indicates. Yom Kippur, it's an awesome day, and so on, and so forth. The type of Yom Kippur Cotton type of style, the calculation of it, the accounting of it, is in a way that's weak. In other words, all the negative that might accompany an accounting that usually we feel bad or whatever. Why is it weakened? Since it's in the month of Nisan, that we're not fast on the month of Nisan, and we do not say Tachnun in it. Mela, therefore, Gam avoided Yom Kippur Cotton, therefore the avoid of the miniature Yom Kippur is also out of joy. If that's so on Erev Yom Kippur Cotton, so the result of, on Erev Shabbos, which is Yom Kippur Cotton, Erev Rish Chodesh, which is Yom Kippur Cotton, surely the calculation, the sum total that we're supposed to make during this time, in the month of Iyar, surely it's only out of joy. The main thing is that making this calculation and the sum total of all the matters of the month of the Chodesh Nisan should be in such a way that should come to actuality, hamaisa or ikir, action is the main thing, kidla kamon, as we will explain going on. So the Rebbe says, in all of this is added a special advantage when the first of Iyar comes out on Shabbos. Even without it coming out on Shabbos, we said the Yom Kippur Cotton is the middle of Nisan. It's the middle of Nisan. You can't fast. You can't say Tachman. So therefore, all the negative things fall away. Let's skip to the next page. 1 second. 1 minute. Could be I skipped too far. Sorry, not the next page. It's the bottom of this page. So the Rebbe says 2 paragraphs on the bottom, but the idea behind this is what is the advantage of Shabbos? Kol malach t'chasi. On Shabbos, we need to envision as if all your work is done. And all of our work is in a way of delight, enjoyment. The karasa Shabbos oinen, you shall call Shabbos delight. The karasa, what does it mean? You shall call it. Doesn't just say you shall delight in Shabbos, but you should call it. What's the significance of calling it? Yid calls and draws down the idea of delight. He makes and brings it to a state of delightfulness. Like a person that calls his fellow or a child calling his father. A Yid calls and draws down the idea of delight. B'Yiseidim is even more so. It says an expression in the Gemara, someone who delights the Shabbos, which is a very strange expression. He should say someone who takes delight in Shabbos, someone who does enjoyable things in Shabbos, but that's not what the Chazal use the term. The Chazal say someone who delights the Shabbos. He makes and brings enjoyment into Shabbos. A Yid adds in the delight of the day of Shabbos that the Shabbos has on its own. Other places that Rebbe speaks about it, that there's 2 levels. There's the level of the delight that Shabbos has on its own, and then there's the level that a Yid is v'karasal Shabbos only. He draws down greater delight in Shabbos. So the Rebbe goes on to explain the next page. This means to say, though the delight of Shabbos is a very high level. A delight that comes and is drawn down from above. Chazal say, the difference between Shabbos and Yom Tov. Yom Tov is dependent upon Bezdin that sanctifies the new month, and therefore it's determined when Pesach is and when other Yom Tovim are. But Shabbos is something that is sanctified by itself. It doesn't need us to sanctify it. It doesn't come from us. Despite the fact that Shabbos is automatic, it doesn't come from our creating the seventh day to be Shabbos. Still, in all since it says that Hashem desires the action of your hands, Hashem wants us to do it. He wants us to accomplish things. That Hashem desires and yearns, metaphorically speaking, to the service of a person, the actions of your hand. So since Hashem desires that, yes, a yid has the capability to add more than what comes out from above. In our case, is we are delighting the Shabbos. We're adding and increasing the delight that Shabbos has automatically from above. Then the Rebbe goes on to say, that we can add to this, the very idea that Hashem desires, that Hashem desires the actions of your hand. That very thing indicates an increase in matters of delight. The idea of desire is connected with the idea of delight and enjoyment. How does one delight, and what's the greatest delight? When you fulfill that which someone yearns for and that which someone desires. So therefore, when we say Hashem desires our action, so that's also connected with delight. So there's the delight of Shabbos on its own. There's the delight that we add through our adding delight to Shabbos. And because of that, we are causing a greater delight because Hashem enjoys and desires that we should do in adding the delight to Shabbos. This understood the great quality and the unbelievable level of the delight of Shabbos, of the delight that's added through giving delight to Shabbos. Incomparable to the delight and enjoyment of Shabbos that is in and of itself, it's in existence. Since he desires the actions of your hand, since the delight of above is through the person giving delight to Shabbos, Nimtza comes out. This advantage of delighting Shabbos over the Shabbos being in and of itself already in existence. We know that the power of delight is so much higher and greater than all the other soul powers. An incomparable higher level than all the other powers of the soul. Like we see with our senses and the nature of a person. Why is a person called Adam? Because he's likened to above. So therefore, just like it's by him, the same thing, it's above by Hashem. The power of the light is incomparable over all the other powers that the person has. So therefore, the Rebbe concludes, when the calculation and accounting in the month of Iyar, the first of Iyar, occurs on the day of Shabbos, so now that accounting and what results from it is added to it the quality and perfection of Shabbos. First of all, it adds to the very accounting itself, that it's done out of joy, like we said before. Also concerning the result in regards to the avoid of the month of Iyar, Sha'avoida hi ba'ofen shel tainug. The avoida is in the manner of delight. Ad l'shleimus hatainug, till the ultimate and perfection of delight. Hama'anigas haShabbos, the one who delights the Shabbos. Ashai days and nasis avoida b'tach sarchav. But through that, the avoida becomes in the most broadest way possible, because shakein in a tainug poil archava afilu be'etzem shmo tov v'dashin etzem. It says that the light makes and broadens and expands even a bone. Like the pasuk says, a good news makes the bone fat. Even shal eine Yehudi, even of a non-Jew, Kesipra Gemara, the well-known story of Gemara with Vespasian and Rabbi Yochanan, about when he heard that he was going to become Caesar. So even though he was a general at the time, but he heard the news that he was going to become Caesar, so he couldn't get his sandal off and so on. Balachas kam v'kama itl Yehudi, how much more so by a Yid, she'etzle gamatevo b'shleimus, that by him nature is in the most perfect way. So therefore, Shabbos brings the Shabbos or Chodesh Iyar brings delight and the elevation and joy into the calculation of the month of Nisan. So up till now, we didn't explain what the calculation of the month of Nisan is. So this calculation is actually a little bit similar to what the Rebbe said in the Chav Ches Nisan and Tavshin Nun Aleph. I'm giving this now all to you, that it's time for us to do things of miraculous stuff. The explanation of the matter of the accounting and the sum total of the month of Nisan in comparison in regards to the month of Nisan, the of Nis Iyar, in Yodish al Chodesh Nisan Hu Chodesh HaGeula. The idea, the theme of the month of Nisan, it's a month of redemption. Therefore, like I said, the Rebbe wants redemption. The month of Nisan is that month, the month of redemption. That's the most when we're supposed to live in that state of mind. More specifically in the redemption itself, it can be in many ways. A redemption that should be a miraculous redemption. You say to Mizay, even more so, nisim, miracles of miracles, or mailam and estam, higher than an ordinary miracle. Like it's emphasized in the name of the month, Nisan, she had by Bain's Nun, Nisan has in it 2 letters, Nun at the beginning, Nun at the end. Laram is all in the Nisim to hint at the matter of miracles, Loidak Nestam, not just an ordinary miracle, but miracles of miracles. Where do we see that the month of that Nisan indicates miracles of miracles? Moving Medivri Gemara, like it's understood from the words of the Gemara. Nun that the letter Nun, if a person sees, it says if he sees the letter Nun in a dream, it indicates on a miracle occurring to him. But if he sees Nisan in a dream, obeys Nunim, since there's 2 Nuns in the word Nisan, that means Nisim will occur to him, miracles of miracles will occur to him. But this itself, Geula Nisis, Adla Nisim, a miraculous redemption until a miracles of miracle type of redemption. So the Rebbe says, like he always does, it's not just enough the same type of level of miracle on day 2 of month of Nisan like day 3, and day 15 of the month of Nisan like day 2, and day 30 of the month of Nisan like day 20 of the month of Nisan. So he says, it's an ascent and an addition, because we have to increase in holiness from day to day. This means to say, Mekivan should be the Chodesh Nisan, since on the first day of the month of Nisan, there's already the miraculous redemption. Adla Nisim, there's already a miracle of miraculous redemptions. Therefore, we must say, should be the Chodesh Nisan on the second day of the month of Nisan. Nitvasif illegal yoser is added even a greater advantage. Not only in all rest of the matters of the month, whatever there is in the month of Nisan, it increases day by day. But also the increase is also in miraculous redemption, to the miracles of miracles redemption. As soon as you come to the second day of Nisan, you're already the second level. a second level, a much higher level, being the Nisan and the matters of Nisan, Geula, by the Nisan, Gupa, in a redemption, the way of miracles itself. And so too in the rest of the days of the month, that day after day is added and increased in matters of the month of Nisan. Nimsa comes out, and the 30th day of the month of Nisan, which is Aleph Reish Chodesh Iyar, the first day of the month of Iyar, of Reish Chodesh Iyar, which is this Friday. There's the miraculous redemption, Adla Nisan Nisan, until the miracles of miracles, but in the ultimate perfection, that there's nothing higher than it, because we went up as high as we could in the month of Nisan Nisan, in the Geula of Nisan Nisan. On the morrow, in the day, the first day of the month, actual month of Iyar, which is the second day of Reish Chodesh, it's the time Lakabel Scharam to receive the reward, the result of that entire month. This means to say, Ashlemus Achinailos Begulanisis Lash Nitzen Yesh Lanatzlo Lamshicha Ba'ofen Avoid the Chodesh Iyar. This highest perfection in the miraculous redemption of the 30th of Nisan, we have to put it to use and to draw it down in the type of service of the month of Iyar. Pratis Yoser, more specifically, Benegel Avoida Apoil, concerning the Avoida in actuality, Kasher Yehudi, Choshev, Mezboinen, Oides, Ashlemus, Achinals, the Chodesh Nisan. When a person thinks about and meditates the great perfection, the highest level of the month of Nisan, Kula Nisis, a miraculous redemption, Avla Nisan Nisim, till miracles of miracles, Be'ili Achar Ili, in one ascent after another ascent, all Lapshev Sha'avura Maspika Shlemesu. He could think, that's great. It's sufficient, this perfection of the month of Nisan. So let's skip over to the next paragraph. Al kach oimrim loisav. To this we respond to him. He cannot be satisfied with the perfection of the month of Nisan. That's a state of a miraculous redemption that's beyond the entire definitions and paradigms of the world. Just the opposite. He needs to draw down and affect this perfection in the month of Iyar. This means to say, he has to draw it down in his service in this world. Because action is what's primary. Including the level of action in regards to the world. This physical world that there's nothing below it, that's where we have to manifest this. Let's skip over a little bit. Second paragraph on the next page. Since this is the case, the goal and the purpose of the service is actual action, this physical world. The action is what's primary. This means to say, not a movement of ascending beyond the paradigms and definitions of the world. The redemption of Nisan, just the opposite. The effect, a state of redemption in the existence of the world itself. Let's skip over a further paragraph to Oisvav concerning actuality. Every single one needs to use all the ascents that and all the elevations that were given throughout the month of Nisan for the sake of adding in the service in the world. How is that so? Through increasing much more powerfully and much strongly in spreading Yiddishkeit, and spreading the well springs outward, until an outward that there's nothing outside of it. And it's 1 second. Let's skip over further. Let's skip over further. So he said, "Im had to Zion on the next page. Im advar mamurim. If these matters are said concerning increasing in our Torah and avodah, spreading Yiddishkeit, entire year, since the entire year a person needs to be involved in spreading Torah and Yiddishkeit and the well springs of Siddur outward. Zmanim yuchadim shebehem yesh l'nesinas koyach miyuchedes malmayla, in those special times that there is a special empowerment from above. Al achas kam v'kam shetzrichim l'natzol koyches elo. How much more so we need to use these powers. We have to do it in such a way that it's in a much more powerful way, in a stronger way. Frat, and especially when the empowerment is in a much greater and elevated state. Both because the advantage of the month of Nisan, is a state of a miraculous redemption, until miracles of miracles type of redemption. Is till the ultimate level of this miraculous redemption. Why? Because, like we said before, it's Lamed Nisan. It's 30 days of going up higher and higher in this miraculous redemption. And also because it's the first of Iyar, which Iyar represents actually doing it down here in this world. Avodah Apoel is coming onto the day of Shabbos, and Shabbos, we said, is avodah b'official tainuk. It's an avodah in a way of delight. To the ultimate perfection of the level of delight. If we could add, there's also the empowerment because of the month of Iyar itself to help us along in this avodah. Aleph, first of all, it's known that Iyar is the acronym for the words I, Hashem, am your healer, am your doctor. When this Boiler Ale was explained previously in the Shabbos, before this Shabbos, on that and the Sichen of Farbrengen, the healing of Hashem is Ani Hashem Retecha. I am Hashem, your healer. What does that mean when we say I, Hashem, am your healer? It means that all illnesses I will not place upon you even initially. How much more so when coming on the heels of the Yom Tov of Pesach. We do not say that we finish the Siddur Pesach like others have that nusa, meaning because Mekivin Shenimshach Tamid, because Pesach goes on always. On Pesach we eat both the food of faith. Matzah is called the food of faith, and the Zohar is also called the food of healing. Keloimaris means to say a healing that comes through faith. Then he doesn't even initially come to any illness, like the Rebbe explains that the first night is a food of faith, and the second night the matzah is a food of healing. And when you have the faith preceding the healing, so then the healing is a preventative medicine. The faith acts as a preventative medicine. That's not that a person, chas v'sholom, has something negative and then needs to be healed from it, but there's no illness from the beginning. So since we're coming a continuation from the Yom Tov of Pesach, so therefore the Iyar is an unbelievable type of healing. Kivin shekain, since that is the case, moving it's understood. The avoid of the month of Iyar on its own, in addition to the effect that's a result of the month of Nisan. It's in such a way that there's no room for things that bother and confuse. That I will initially not even put upon you, because I am Hashem, your healer, that there's no room at all for anything negative. Another thing is, the month of Iyar, there's another unbelievable quality over all the rest of the month of the year. In the entire month, there's a unique mitzvah, which is Sfiras Ha'omer. There's no other month in the year that every day of the month has a special, unique mitzvah that doesn't come the rest of the year, or doesn't come the majority of the year, But every day of the month you do it. Let's go over to the next, skip the paragraph. Second paragraph on the next page. Moving, it's understood. Shemailas mitzvah spiras omer shebechoyim mechodesh iyar. That this advantage of the mitzvah of counting the omer throughout all the days of the month of Iyar. Pa'elas ilui v'esafa b'chol inyane avodah shnas b'chodesh Iyar. It affects an addition and an increase in all matters of the avodah that is accomplished in the month of Iyar. Let's skip the next paragraph. Here we come to the famous discussion about when Mashiach comes in the middle of the days of Sfira. Will be able to continue to count with a bracha. And the Rebbe goes on technically because we started off as it being a drabonan obligation, and when Mashiach comes, it's going to be min ha-Torah. Anyway, let's skip over to the brachas. Be the will of Hashem. The very resolving to in all of the above. Tifulas askar will already affect the reward of this matter. We don't have to wait until we actually do it. The false maseno. The goal and the purpose of all of our avodah and service and actions, which is gula mitzvah shlema idem Mashiach tzidkenu, the true and complete redemption for Mashiach. Especially since we're coming to the month of Nisan, a month of redemption. In Nisan we were redeemed, and Nisan we will be redeemed in the future. The Rebbe was saying this on the first of Iyar already. So the Rebbe says, despite the fact that for different and unusual reasons or strange reasons, the Geula did not come in the month of Nisan, the Geula can come immediately in the second day of the month of Iyar. Can also follow that in the first day of Iyar, which is the second day of Rosh Chodesh, is emphasized the connection to the month of Nisan. So it still applies that the Nisan Nigalu, Nisan Asin Ligal, that in Nisan there will be redeemed because it's still part of the continuation of Nisan. Therefore, when Shavuos comes, Yidden will go up to the pilgrimage to Yerushalayim. We won't even have to wait till Shavuos. Rather, as it says at the conclusion and the end of the Haftorah of this Shabbos, where since it's Shabbos Rosh Chodesh, there's a special Haftorah that we read, like we had also the title of the Maimer that we learned on Monday, Hashemayim Kisi. So the conclusion of the Haftorah is that when Mashiach comes, we won't be just going Oila Regel only 3 times a year on Sukkot, Pesach, and Shavuos, but rather it'll be every month, Shabbos b'Shabbat, and every Shabbos. All flesh will come to bow down before me. Brings down during the time before Mashiach, you would go up to the Beis Hamikdash only 3 times a year. If the case will reach the end of days, at the Masidim, Lias Oilim Sham B'chol Chodesh, you will in the future go up over there every month. And not only every month, we say them as a B'chol Shabbos, even more so every Shabbos. Like it continues over there. The Yalkut Shemaini says, how is it possible that Rosh Chodesh and Shabbos that are going to come from the ends of the earth? The clouds come and carry them. It brings them to Yerushalayim. Like it says in the pasuk, who are like these that will fly like the cloud? Just like it says about the redemption itself will come with the clouds of heaven. In a way that it will be made quickly. So it should be for us in actuality. Pasha simply put, the more simpler it is, the greater it is. In other words, we should have it literally immediately now in our days.
Amen. Amen.